Hey everyone, it's Flynn here, and I'm going to quickly run you through how I set up my turret object in Unreal Engine to respond to keyboard input. So, let's go. First off, let's have a look at my skeletal mesh I brought in. Pretty straightforward here, added in these two sockets for the particle effect for the lasers, but otherwise it's more or less left as is. There's the skeletal mesh and the animations. So here, I brought in an idle animation as I wasn't able to figure out how to get animations to stop. So I've got this inactive loop, an idle animation, two firing animations, a fidget, deactivate, and an activate. And as you can see, I've got these notifiers here. I found that for animation blending, it's good to have a notification about 75% of the way into your animation is to get it to stop in time before the next little loop begins. And now into the nitty gritty, let's have a look at the animation graph. So, if you don't know, once you set up an animation blueprint, you'll get these two main graphs, the anim graph and the event graph. And the event graph is where I reference those notifiers from the animations to trigger specific events, and this which controls my logic for the fidgeting and what to do, essentially. Have a look at the animation graph. I've put something here to expand later on so that I can have the turret face towards an enemy, but as of yet I haven't figured that out, but this is just sort of a little bit of that. Now when you're in here, you want to create a state machine from here. I've already got mine set up, so let's go have a look in that. When you set up a state machine, you'll have this entry node at the start here, and then you can basically drag that off to nut out the logic of what you want in your object to do. And in between, as you drag the arrows around, you'll get these little boxes here, which puts the rules, essentially decides what condition needs to be triggered. And these can be with variables that you make down here, standard blueprint sort of stuff. So there's different conditions. You can also get it so that it changes either from a variable being ticked, or if say you have, what are the words here, a ratio of the animation remaining before it will switch into its next state. Beyond that, let's have a look more at the event graph. So from here, when the notification for the end of the idle animation was triggered, so about frame 45 in, it would run this to generate a random integer, and out of two of those random integers it would set it to fidget. If it was already fidgeting, then it would either check to stay fidgeting or no longer fidget. And this logic sort of became redundant when I set up the event graph for the actual turret pawn in the world. And now I've got this set up to basically respond to key presses. And that there is how you cast to an animated object within your blueprint instance. So you see I've got reference to skeletal mesh, animation instance, and that's how you do it. I also set up some dynamic materials for the glowing sections on the back of the turret, which just had different glow rates, and that just changes between those there. I won't go into that too much. And there was also this for the particle emitters, keeping their location in check with one of the bones and those two sockets that I made earlier. Right, and let's see, turret blueprint. Don't think there was anything else in here. Still needs cleaning up, but yeah, I'll leave it at that, and ka kite.